was born, this place became mine. It is all mine. And I do own you. I do own you. Get out. I said get out.
You want to fight me at WrestleMania? Then be careful what you wish for. You're on.
In the summer of 2013, WWE handed the keys to the company to two people on screen, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, the Authority, fictional characters playing corporate power brokers who decided who got opportunities and who didn't. Except the storyline they built didn't feel entirely fictional, because the guy they picked to bury? Fans had already heard the whispers that WWE's real decision-makers didn't quite see him as a top guy either. Too small, too unconventional, not the look they wanted standing at the top of the company. His name was Daniel Bryan, and what happened next wasn't just one of the best storylines WWE ever told. It was the rare moment where the writers' room and the live crowd ended up fighting for control of the same story, and only one of them was going to win. This is the story of the Yes movement, how a scripted crusade against one wrestler turned into a real, unscripted revolt that WWE couldn't fully control, and how it all built to one night at WrestleMania. It starts with the Authority taking over WWE's on-screen power. Structure in the summer of 2013. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon positioned themselves as the people who now decided everything, who got title shots, who got pushed, and who the company's programming would revolve around. Their on-screen preference was consistent from the start. Bigger, more conventionally marketable performers, the kind of look they felt represented the brand at its best. Smaller, less traditionally imposing wrestlers, no matter how good they were in the ring, were treated as afterthoughts by comparison. That set the stage perfectly for what came next, because the wrestler about to become their primary target didn't fit that mold at all. Daniel Bryan had spent years building a reputation as one of the best in-ring performers on the roster, but he didn't look like a typical main event champion by the standards WWE had traditionally favored. He was shorter than most of the company's top stars, wrestled a more technical mat-based style rather than a power-based one, and had built his following largely through sheer in-ring quality rather than the kind of larger-than-life presentation WWE usually built its top champions around. At SummerSlam 2013, he beat John Cena clean to win the WWE Championship, in a match refereed notably by Triple H himself. It should have been the crowning moment of Bryan's career. Instead, immediately after the pinfall, Triple H turned on him, delivering a pedigree and allowing Orton to cash in his Money in the Bank contract on the spot, stealing the title away within minutes of Bryan winning it. That single moment reframed the entire story going forward. It wasn't just that Bryan lost the title quickly. It was that the very authority figure who was supposed to officiate the match fairly had been the one to take it from him, establishing exactly the kind of power imbalance the rest of the story would run on for the next several months. That moment kicked off the Authority's on-screen crusade against Bryan in earnest. Over and over, Triple H and Stephanie made the same argument to the WWE Universe. Bryan simply wasn't what a WWE champion should look like. Not polished enough, not disciplined enough, not corporate enough to represent the company at the level they wanted. It was a deliberately condescending message, repeated often enough that it became the defining conflict of the entire program. Not Bryan against a single rival, but Bryan against the entire power structure of the company itself. What followed was months of the Authority using every tool available to keep Bryan down. They cost him matches through outside interference, aligned themselves openly with Randy Orton, mocked Bryan on the microphone, and made sure he never got a truly clean opportunity to reclaim what had been taken from him. Weeks turned into months, with Bryan repeatedly built up only to have victories stripped away through Authority interference, reinforcing the same message every time. The system itself was rigged against him, and no amount of in-ring success alone was going to be enough to fix that. It was a masterclass in a heel authority figure abusing power, but the more WWE leaned into it, the more the live crowds pushed back in a way the company likely didn't fully anticipate. Bryan's signature gesture, a raised fist paired with a simple, defiant shout of "Yes!" became the rallying cry. Fans began chanting it constantly, not just during his matches, but during other wrestlers' matches, during interviews, even during moments that had nothing to do with Bryan at all. It became less of a catchphrase and more of a genuine grassroots movement, with crowds essentially hijacking entire broadcasts to make their support for Bryan impossible to ignore. What made this storyline different from a typical underdog push was how closely it seemed to mirror something real. Plenty of fans genuinely believed that WWE's actual creative decision makers viewed Bryan the same way the Authority characters did on screen, as talented, but not the kind of larger-than-life conventionally built star the company preferred at the top of its card. That perception, whether entirely accurate or not, is a huge part of why the Yes movement caught fire the way it did. It didn't feel like a storyline asking fans to root for an underdog. It felt like fans were rooting for someone they suspected the company itself didn't fully believe in, and using their collective voice to force the issue anyway. That tension only escalated heading into 2014 at the Royal Rumble that January. Batista made his return to WWE and won the Rumble match itself, earning a WrestleMania title match in the process. On paper, that set up a Batista versus Orton match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania XXX, a match built entirely around two performers the Authority favored, with Bryan bypassed completely. The reaction from the live crowd was immediate and impossible to script around. Batista, despite his own legitimate accomplishments, was booed heavily, with fans loudly and repeatedly chanting for Bryan instead throughout the broadcast. It wasn't a quiet grumble of disapproval. It was a full-scale rejection of the direction WWE had chosen, playing out live, on camera, in real time. The backlash was significant enough that it forced a visible change in WWE's plans. Bowing to that pressure, the Authority storyline pivoted. Triple H announced that Bryan would get a chance to fight his way into the WrestleMania main event after all, but only by beating Triple H himself, one-on-one, on the biggest stage of the year. It was framed within the story as a final decisive attempt by the Authority to eliminate Bryan for good, with Triple H and Stephanie fully confident he wouldn't get through. In reality, it was WWE creating a way to give the crowd exactly what months of chanting had been demanding, while still preserving the Authority's on-screen dominance right up until the moment it mattered most. That set up one of the most unique match structures in WrestleMania history, two full matches built around a single wrestler's night, both of which he needed to win to complete the story. At WrestleMania XXX on April 6, 2014, Bryan opened the show against Triple H. Rather than treating it as a routine undercard match, WWE built it as a genuine obstacle, with Triple H attempting to end Bryan's night before it truly began. The match itself carried real weight. Losing here meant the entire year-long story ended without Bryan ever reaching the match fans had been demanding for months. Bryan won, punching his ticket into the main event exactly the way the story had promised. And the pop that moment received made clear the crowd understood exactly what was riding on it. Later that night, Bryan competed in the main event itself, a triple threat match against both Randy Orton and Batista for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. The same two performers the Authority had spent the better part of a year positioning ahead of him. Having already wrestled one grueling match earlier in the show, Bryan overcame both of them to win the title, closing out a story that had run for nearly a full year, with the exact ending the crowd had spent months demanding. The image of Bryan standing in the middle of the ring, title in hand, arm raised in that same defiant fist, remains one of the most replayed moments in modern WrestleMania history. Looking back, what made the Yes movement work wasn't just the in-ring quality of the matches involved, though there was plenty of that throughout. It was the sense that fans weren't just watching a story, they were actively shaping how it ended. The Royal Rumble Backlash in particular stands out as a rare moment where a live audience's reaction visibly altered a major company's WrestleMania plans in real time, rather than simply reacting to whatever had already been decided behind closed doors. Whether WWE's actual creative team ever truly doubted Bryan the way the Authority characters did on screen is something only the people in that room really know, but the perception that they might have is arguably the single biggest reason this storyline resonated the way it did. It gave an already compelling underdog story an extra layer of authenticity that's difficult to manufacture on purpose, the sense that the crowd wasn't just supporting a character, they were supporting a real person they believed deserved more credit than he was getting. That blurring of scripted narrative and genuine backstage perception is rare in wrestling, and it's a big part of why this particular story still gets brought up years later as one of the best examples of a promotion actually listening to its audience mid-story. That's ultimately what turned Yes from a wrestling catchphrase into a genuine cultural moment, loud enough, sustained enough, and persistent enough that it became something WWE had to build around, rather than something WWE fully controlled from the start. Few storylines in wrestling history have managed to make an audience feel like active participants in how the story ended, rather than passive viewers watching a predetermined outcome play out. The Yes movement did exactly that, and WrestleMania XXX stands as the payoff to a year's worth of fans refusing to let the story go anywhere other than where they wanted it to. So here's the real question worth sitting with. Did WWE plan the Yes movement as a slow burn story from day one, or did the live crowd's response essentially write Daniel Bryan's own ending for him? Let me know what you think in the comments.